is. We are live. Rick, right on time. Dustin, thanks for joining us. Brock, how's it going? Are you doing intros today? What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guys.
Why don't you open it up for us, Brock? This is good.
Yeah. Good to see Rick on the road, but with some degree of a signal. So we have Dustin Ashley here, who's one of my NewZip's new partners, building out a new team, new office, new site under NewRez, focused on purchase. I'll let him go into all the details of that, what he's building, his background and everything. But Dustin, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have all met before, but we have two callers in from Metro Detroit today. So
we're sponsored by Vernors. They don't know that they're sponsoring us, but we're sponsored by Vernors with two Detroiters today.
But yeah, Dustin,
I thought Vernors was in Buffalo.
I think it's actually it's Detroit, and then it was so good somebody bought it and sent it everywhere. So now it's everywhere.
There's a famous Detroit ice cream, right? That's got a cult following too.
Yep.
Similar to Vernors.
You can actually put vanilla ice cream in Vernors, and for no reason that I understand, they call it a Boston cooler. I don't know why, but it's vanilla ice cream and ginger ale, and Vernors is a Boston cooler. So we're connected.
I'll try asking for that in a Boston bar tonight. See how that goes.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, thanks for coming on, Dustin. I don't know if you've met all these guys yet. You may have crossed paths with Potter back at Rocket at some point. And then Rick comes to us with decades of retail mortgage leadership and consults for all kinds of top mortgage companies as well on recruiting, tech, innovation, all kinds of fun stuff. And what's your title? VP of growth at NFM Lending, I think. Is that right, Rick?
Oh,
he's gone. All right, don't worry about Rick.
We want him to drive safely anyway. So
yeah, I don't like when he's doing it in the car. It makes me car sick. All right, cool. So yeah, thanks for coming on, Dustin. Catch us up a little bit about I guess your last couple of weeks, maybe your background a little bit in general, and then what you've been up to the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with my background. So I've been in the industry 11 years now. I actually started my career at Rocket Mortgage, which was a phenomenal place to learn and grow. I became a senior director there. I was actually leading one of our top purchase teams. It was a specialty team. So I've learned a lot through that endeavor. I was nominated Most Valuable Director 3 years in a row. And then from there, I moved over to be a vice president of a smaller brokerage, which was a completely different game, the broker side. So it was nice to learn that side of the business. And then I transitioned to be a VP of training and development. So I built out for another brokerage an entire leadership and sales training that I built websites and everything of that nature. And then I was tapped on the shoulder by George Milan, who was actually my first director at Rocket Mortgage back in 2014. And he told me about this opportunity. And once he got into it, I'm like, you know what, George, I'll run through a wall with you. What you guys are doing sounds unbelievably exciting. So I'd love to be a part of it. So just to kind of go into a little bit about what we're doing. We're working on building a new Troy region, essentially, of top-tier elite mortgage bankers. So for us, we have 6 folks that just recently joined the team, all with an average tenure of 10 years. And throughout 2026, we plan on growing this region to about 100 bankers strong, which will need about 5 or so leaders to come on board, which we're actually in leadership development to get folks ready for that. But we're planning on doing things differently than most folks. So obviously, the trigger bill's coming out pretty recent within 2026, and a lot of these brokers' lead flow is going to be gone. So what we're working on is just purchase retention. We have 4 million plus service clients that we work with on a daily basis that are looking to purchase homes. That's our area of specialty. And then with my background, I am an expert in AI, so I plan on bringing a lot of AI initiatives, which we're actually working with a few AI things in the background to build efficiencies. And essentially, our main goal is to become the #1 purchase banking team in America. And that's across all 50 states. And I believe we can do it within the next 12 months. So we have a lot planned, a lot on the plate. We're just now getting into it. The last 2 weeks have been onboarding, learning systems, and they're relying on us. New Res is relying on us to bring our expertise. We have about 70 years collective expertise just with the small group that we're running to really shape what New Res is going to look like in the future, how we operate, how we manage leads, AI initiatives, our technology and systems improvement. So there's a lot on our plate, but we're excited for the responsibility and honestly just excited to kick off and get started. So that's kind of everything in a nutshell. Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded.
Right on. No, I think that was great. Thank you, Dustin. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, I was going to say, how much production for you to be the #1 purchase team in the country? How much production would that require?
So our team right now, based on metrics, we believe we can average about 30 loans, 30 fundings per banker. So like on our team, that would be 180 fundings for 6 folks, which I would put us pretty much toward top tier.
Got it.
Dustin, one of the things you ran into at Rocket was the purchase script, the purchase sales framing for somebody to have to make decisions over the phone with you from, the call center model. Can you talk about some of the things that you learned there and how it's changing and how you think it'll be in 2025, 2026 with this new market?
Yeah, for sure. So the #1 thing, I think technology is the biggest transformation that we're going to see in 2025 and 2026. Rocket was great from a systematic standpoint. They had all the fundamentals for a solid company, all the support team members, and most our business, at least the specialty I was in, was working with our Rocket lead flow. So basically people that went to our website, filled out an online application, gave us more details than your normal call in. So we would have access to their credit report. We would have access to their documents right away, and we would nurture that relationship and turn that into business. But one of the things that we're working on to really build this efficiency is a few things. Right now, I'm working on something called client persona profile. So I'm taking a lot of data metrics from outside the company, whether it be seasonality, purchase timeframes for different counties, different metrics from within our company, from conversion rates, and then building out persona profiles on clients to effectively meet our clients where they're at a more efficient rate. So with AI, we can really dial in what is the most highest converting leads. When should these clients be connected with? What times do real estate agents like to be communicated with? And then really just making our process a lot more smooth for clients from the initial stage to approval. So right now, and at Rocket as well, we were able to, do one call approvals. Obviously, that's important in this industry, which is speed to lead. But our main objective is to ensure that when a client submits a profile, we can get them their pre-approval, even if they're out on the road looking at homes right then and there, we can get it to them within 15 to 30 minutes. So that's our main objective, is speed to lead. And really, I think the AI initiatives is going to be the biggest life-changing factor for this industry as a whole. At least that's my thought process.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think one of the things I've been saying a lot, which fits exactly what you're talking about, is the last year or so, not calendar year, but literally like over the last year, the biggest term I thought was retention, recapture. That was sort of the biggest phrase or topic in our industry. And I think the next year, to your point, the word is going to be propensity to move, propensity to transact, propensity to buy. I think we're going to start hearing about propensity, and people are going to, by this time next year, going to be sick of hearing about it for exactly the reasons you're talking about. There are so many transactions in that book of business, not just because somebody might move up or downsize. They might buy a second home, an investment property. They may have kids who are trying to buy their first home. And how lenders think about that, dig into that, make that offer at the right time, catch that person exactly when they are, searching or thinking about it, I think would really change the game for a lot of companies in terms of conversion, in terms of, top of funnel numbers. So I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
So you think that the word is going to be propensity?
100%. I will put money on it.
As opposed
AI
to
is going to.
As opposed to like probability, likelihood, intentionality.
It's going to be propensity. Yeah.
Propensity.
Yeah. Yep.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Say two words.
I think the pendulum is swinging back a little bit. So data science, like 5 years ago, data science was all anybody wanted to talk about. What is your data science model? Who are your data scientists? They were recruiting data scientists
mining
from all over the place. And I think what happened is then it went to AI, and now it's coming back to being like AI informing data, AI informing the data science. So I think
because most operations weren't good at using they build these massive data lakes, and it was great to talk about, and then it wasn't driving action. Mostly, there's a few exceptions, but it makes a ton of sense. The enablement with AI.
I think it's interesting with Dustin's comments. So I have spoken a lot about the velocity of decision making, and it seems like given the scope and reach of NewRez and Dustin's leadership around being able to pull together those data points in a manner that enables NewRez loan officers to be a lot faster to meet the needs of the consumer, and a lot faster to close, a lot faster to deliver on information that the consumer is looking for. It just strikes me, and maybe all that sort of wrapped up enables a better view of the propensity of a loan officer to look at a consumer to say this consumer has a higher propensity of securing a purchase deal or a refinance versus other consumers out there.
And I'll go ahead and do a shameless plug. With the NewRez Home Rewards program that we power at NewZip, they also get an extra couple hundred updates and like micro updates throughout the life of the transaction from the real estate agent, from our team, from our home search tooling. So I've loved working with NewRez over the last couple of years. Love the expansion of the vision here. So I'm super biased, but the way they're thinking about their ecosystem and just gathering more and more data every step of the way on the clients in their ecosystem.
I don't think you have to say you're super biased. I just think you're super informed. Like you have a better read on it about what NewRez is aiming to do and how you can help them. I'm glad we have
Dustin on to share it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll add this as well. So it took me a long time to find a company that I actually felt comfortable with, that I saw the vision. What I've liked about NewRez so far is, one, their leadership team is top notch, but they're actually willing to change and make adjustments to become the next biggest, the biggest lender out there. So like bringing us on, they told us right from the beginning, like anything that you guys find that are inefficiencies in the business, let us know. We're going to make those changes quickly. So it's like operating as a small company under a massive umbrella, which is something you normally don't see. You guys know how it is. It's like turning the Titanic at most companies. It takes a long time, and AI is just moving so fast. We need to be able to move quickly just to meet borrowers where they want to be, right? So I've loved my experience here so far. I don't think I felt this welcome at any other company in my entire career, which is exciting to say. 12 years into the game, I'm finally now finding some place that I feel like my skills are going to just be able to take this company to the next level, which I'm excited about.
Oh, it sounds like it, Dustin. And what's interesting, as you talk this through, Dustin, I don't know Barron very well. I've met with him a few times, I've spoken with him a couple times, and obviously incredibly sharp, in his decision making, very quick to make decisions, very opinionated about his decisions. But what strikes me about retail in particular, like generally the sales funnel for loan volume was generally revolved around relationships with the realtors, relationship builders, relationships. And I almost think like companies like NewRez are turning the hourglass almost upside down, in the sense that instead of it being, now relationships are almost bottom of the funnel. It's top of funnel now is data, it's servicing, and It's the AI tools that sort of interconnect the consumer with the data and the loan officer to inform them as to what the best decisions are, both the consumer and the loan officer, almost concurrently. And so it's almost like relationship is becoming further and further less necessary. And it's giving way to the tools that you're talking about, which now, because servicers were never good at relationships. And now all of a sudden AI is advancing the relationship digitally with the consumer in a manner that you can never do almost in person anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think the advantage is exactly companies like yours and others, exactly what you're aiming to do. So I love it. I mean, I love how that's evolving.
Yeah, what's nice too, and I don't know how much I can talk about this, but we have a new AI platform that's we're working on coaching and developing mortgage professionals as well to provide red carpet experiences.
Great.
And what's nice about this is we can basically figure out from our top producers what they're actually saying on the phone, how they're communicating with clients, how those client interactions are, and how they perceive them. And then we can get that information out from a coaching standpoint to our entire banking force. And that's just now starting to roll out. So I'm actually really excited to see just the level of client service that we're going to be able to bring by taking our top performers and figuring out what works, how clients like to be communicated with, and how we can improve conversion over time. I think that when I saw that technology that they're working on, I'm like, I don't know how no one else has been thinking of this or how this isn't mainstream. But yeah, they're working on, NewRest has some incredible things behind the scenes that I think is just going to improve the quality of conversations, not only with the AI, but the relationship building with those tools that we have access to, which is exciting.
That's great.
Yeah, we've also had, from NewRes, we've also had the chief strategy officer, Julie Raish, come on here a couple times and talk about things, but we've never gone deep into like the production mindset you guys are building. So that's super interesting to hear about. We actually had, what was it, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had a company on Mova, was it, Jeremy? Where it was kind of similar.
Mova.
Mova, yeah, pretty early. It was a fairly early to the mortgage industry, it sounded like, but kind of in that same vein of trying to build out coaching and like some live feedback and scorecards and things like that using AI for loan officers. I have some friends that have worked in that space in other industries, but it's cool to see it make it into more regulated industries, more compliance focused industries. Like that stuff's existed in like tech sales for 5 years, but that was much simpler.
Yeah, what's cool with our technology is we even have a way to build scorecards around clients and basically rank from 0 to 8, 8 being the highest converting. Just from early data, any client that scored an 8 was converting into an application at 78% clip, which I don't think that conversion rate is anywhere in the industry. So like with data science and AI, we are really truly able to dial in like who is our hottest clients, who needs us, when do they need us, what time do they need us, and then just make ourselves available to that. So I thought that was unbelievable.
Particularly, just real quick, Rick, hold on.
Yeah.
Just real quick. Particularly in the purchase context right now, it's one thing to get 85% conversion of a rate and term refi when rates are dropping, everyone's talking about it, and you're the servicer and you're calling first. But to do it outside of that context, I think is the key. Those are numbers that are rivaling other people's refi numbers. And I think that's really important. Sorry, Rick, you were going to say.
My follow-up question, you answered it indirectly, Jeremy, so thank you.
Yeah,
that's pretty incredible. So really the Caliber acquisition was largely just for the servicing and not as much for the retail. I mean, that really was the bulk of it.
I believe so, yeah.
And that makes sense because Barron has always had a vision for retail. It's just, people always say Barron's anti-retail, but the reality is he's just anti-retail in the way that it's always been done. He's always been anti-unprofitable retail, Yeah. And he made that really clear to me. And he's not wrong, right? I mean, in the sense that running a profitable enterprise is what he does well. And he's just looking at this model that has so much leakage around it, and that there's just a better, tighter, more digital way of going about it. And so now I think with your leadership and the things that you're speaking about, I think it plays well to that strategy as it's unfolding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see the org building of all the different entities coming together from the former Caliber sites that we've worked with from my side as a partner, along with all the different servicing books that were acquired. It's a very impressive operation, how many different brands and teams and leaders and things that have been pulled together by NewRez in not that long, a couple of years, and now throwing gas on it with bringing Georgia in, bringing you in, bringing in all these folks to build new teams. So while we have a lot of listeners from the industry, obviously, I know you've been posting on LinkedIn a lot, Dustin, lately about building this team. Is there appetite to? Are you guys still recruiting, I guess?
That's a great question. Yes, we are actively recruiting. So our goal is not to build fast. Our goal is to build slow, but build at a pace where we get the right people in the right positions, right? So right now we actually have our small team of 6. We have 4 people that are starting mid-August, and I'm doing interviews basically every single day over the last few weeks, and we're going to continue to hire. So we have 2 hiring groups, one mid-August, which we're trying to fill up right now, and then one in October, and then we'll do a hiring freeze until January, and then we'll start up again. The goal is to bring in at least 6 to 15 professionals each hiring group. And what I like about NewRez, and I've never seen, maybe other companies do this, but I haven't experienced it. For our team, for instance, they rolled out the red carpet. They flew us out to North Carolina for a 3-day onboarding. We got to meet Barron, other team leaders throughout the company. All expense paid trip, and we plan on doing that for each group that we bring on, just to give them a different experience from a welcoming perspective and make them feel at home. Let them know that this isn't just a job. We're looking for career mortgage professionals that want to grow, and most importantly, help us grow. And what I like about this, and I was even talking to Brock a little bit earlier, is with the NewZip partnership, you guys are bringing something that you just don't see in this industry. I feel like realtor relationships, everyone knows the importance, but no one really does it right. And there's some other big companies that have models, but they're a lot more selfish. And what I like about NewZip is it's just offering a way for us to work together as partners and both grow our businesses simultaneously and help each other. Like I was mentioning to Brock, one thing that we're doing as a team is we're going to get together with real estate agents and have meet and greets and hopefully even help grow the NewZip partnership and bring on real estate agents that we think would be excellent partners to work with, not only for our team, but with you guys as well. So that just excites me beyond anything, because you just don't see it in the industry. And your guys' conversion rates are insane. Honestly, it blew me away when I saw some of your conversion rates. That's like, you guys are doing it right.
I appreciate that. Yeah, NewRez conversion numbers particularly are off the charts with the client relationships you guys have, and the deeply embedded handoffs and marketing we have. That's getting better all the time. But no, I really appreciate you saying that. It's when we started, when I was the first sales hire, first partnerships hire, building out NewZip and kind of its current view. We built an agent network in the past before we pivoted to this model of only doing lender partnerships really deeply. And one thing I love about it is that we do get to kind of make everyone's partnership their own a little bit. I like to use like the concentric circle example of we have our network, right? But if you guys want to build a preferred network of agents that functions in a different way with a different workflow, that you guys have built your own personal relationships with, we can manage that too. So I it's always like our team, a lot of our team comes from like startup product innovation backgrounds, including our CEO, Audie, who's come on the show a bunch of times. And I know they're all excited for, what this means in terms of expanding kind of like the hybrid view of like, yes, it's a consumer direct team, but you guys are going to have some, retail style, like boots on the ground partnerships too, and events and things like that. And yeah, the last thing we want to do is get in the way of that at a minimum, but we actually think we can help it a lot because we have so much history of how agents have worked with the loan officers, bankers, originators in our network. So we have all this first party data as well as third party data on which agents I think you should talk to first.
And
yeah,
that's
it's almost like, yeah, Dustin made me think of this, Brock, but you probably know it more from the real estate agent perspective. If I was a real estate agent 5 years ago, I'm just going to say it as if it's true and you tell me if I'm right. I had my like 5 or 6 lead sources in addition to my book of business that was kind of like friends and family referrals, right? And those might include things like Zillow, OpCity, Rocket Homes, whatever. I had my little kind of portfolio of lead sources, right? What you're saying, or what Dustin's saying, is we might be moving to where, or maybe we already didn't, I'm just realizing it, we moved from sort of like cold lead sources that come in raw, like raw data, to more warm handoff lead sources. And as a real estate agent, I actually still might have 2 or 3, and that's not a bad thing. It's just they're getting warmer and they're getting closer. And so technology is actually enabling the feeling of a team, the feeling of like a real estate lending team, but without all the constraints and bureaucracy and everything else of like actually building the team. Is that the trend? Is that really the trend we're talking about here?
Well, one of the trends we like to say at NewsZip is like, this is already happening, where Dustin alluded to it, but most of the top lenders in the country have grappled with, obviously you have the Rocket and Redfin deal that's been pretty disruptive to a lot of things, but you have a lot of other guaranteed rates affinity deal. You've seen Berkshire, acquire Prosperity. Like, people have a view on it already, whether it's embedded technically in X, Y, or Z way, or just from a relationship standpoint. Everyone's moving this way. But the stat that I think is really important is that 2023 was the first year that more clients started a conversation with a loan officer before an agent. It used to be, 90% started with an agent, whatever the number was, for decades. Then it started to reverse during COVID. And the first year that more people started with a loan officer, more people started with a lending conversation was about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That's when NewsZip really kind of pressed the gas on our model of, let's help the lenders that are already generating their business, and we'll be a conversion steroid for that. That's great. But what now needs to happen is, and I'm so excited by Dustin having this, aggressive view on how they're going to play like a hybrid role between kind of CD and retail, is turning it into a hybrid, turning it into all different which ways of relationships, but actually with the connectivity of that the AI and like the modern tech stack allows. So that's what excites me. But yeah, I think that's right, Jeremy, that agents are a lot happier to join things like real estate networks, like reload networks. Our network's free to join, and agents, by the time an agent touches a deal from us, I think it's even higher with new res deals, but they close about 38% of them. They're used to 1 or 2% closing rates with Zillow leads. So it's, we think it's a really clear model. There's some top producer agents that have too much business in their local area and don't join networks, but we see like the vast majority, call it, 90% of realtors being willing to take these type of referral deals. That originate.
What this reminds me of is a much better, no pun intended, but a much better executable model than what Better is trying to do. Like, I'm a big fan of Better. I love their platform. I love their ambitions around digitizing this purchase experience and then sort of redefining sort of the retail flow. But they don't have the servicing book, and their investor makeup is entirely different. So which leads to, whereas New Res is, and it's really interesting because people have really counted New Res out from a retail production standpoint. And the reality is, and to me, the message to me as just as a retail mortgage banker, I look at this as saying, this is new res potentially is the new threat, is really the new potential market leader in years down the line with what Dustin's doing, because it's potentially smarter, a lot faster, a lot more digitally intimate to the consumer, and it's redefining what the traditional, definitions of retail, similar to what.
Audio cut a little bit, but
Rick, I don't know if you can hear us, but we can't hear you right now. Something happened. Dustin, one of the things Rick just, you're back.
I just said it just sounded like a better value proposition. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head, which is this is not a trend that necessarily makes me happy as the innovation guy, but the reality is the business isn't in first-time homebuyers. It just isn't. I wish it was. I've been working on it my whole career, but it's not. The business is in the retention of a homeowner to their next mortgage, whether that's a refi or a purchase. That is the business, especially right now and probably for the foreseeable future. And so that hedge, the hedge we're talking about, putting strategy and channel and technology to work on that problem, it makes the most sense. Because that's where we are right now, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a stat the other day, which I agree with you wholeheartedly, that we got to keep working on first-time homebuyer solutions. But the average homebuyer in the past year or so is like a mid-50s person that already owns a couple properties, right? Like that's the average. It's or has owned a couple properties, not necessarily that they own multiple at once, but yeah, that's fairly alarming for people that are, including NewsZip historically was extraordinarily focused on first-time home buyers, and we've expanded our view a lot.
Yeah, Dustin, I'm excited to come back in 6 months and talk to you again on specifically this question of the kids. I really want to understand, is there a way to get to the kids as first-time home buyers through the parents who are in the portfolio already? And there has to be, because to Brock's point, not only is that number going up, the purchase number going up, but those that do purchase their first home under 40 years old are getting help from their parents anyhow to do it at really high rates, about 50-55%. I think it's like 55% of first-time homebuyers get help from their parents. So inside of that portfolio is probably also a whole bunch of first-time homebuyer loans, because 55% of people are going to their parents anyway.
Yeah, so 1 million parents in that. Geez, that's a good point.
That's a great point.
I don't know. Go ahead.
I was going to say one thing too. Just for any LOs that are looking for a career change, what I've noticed about new res that's so much different from an LO perspective is the leadership style. So if you've been in this industry for a while, you've probably noticed most mortgage companies lead with either stick or almost like a tyrant level mentality, and it just burns people out. And it's sad because you see a lot of top performers completely leave the industry just because they can't, maintain that style of leadership. So what's been a breath of fresh air, even just for me coming over here, is just the willingness to lead with empowerment, empathy, and most importantly, just creating an atmosphere where bankers feel like they can communicate properly to clients and they're not going to get yelled at every 2 seconds for something. I wanted to add that in there just because that has been the biggest issue I've ran into even through my interviews, is people are just not happy with the way leadership is done. And I really do commend New Res on getting the right folks in leadership to build that atmosphere, because it just allows us all to grow faster and be more productive than most places.
That's super helpful, and I'm glad that you're getting a chance to lay that out, because I'm sure we will have a couple thousand people see this on LinkedIn in the next week or so. But say a little bit more about the archetype of what type of bankers, what types of loan officers you guys are actively looking for. I'm sure there's a few different types, but
yeah. So ideally, right now we're looking for folks with at least 5 years of experience. Right now, our average tenure is about 10, but that doesn't mean we won't look at folks that have been doing this at least 5 years. They have to have a background in some sort of retail lender that is a place that teaches quality sales skills, soft skills, the ability to roll out the red carpet experience. A lot of mortgage lenders just don't have that type of training model. So we are looking for folks that come from a background that we do know that they're adequately trained and that they can provide these high level of client service for our clients. But that's like
mostly folks that have specialized in purchase for most of that time too.
Yeah, so they have to specialize in purchase. And then what's really nice about this is we're leading through empowerment a lot. And I've always been a firm believer in this, right? Why hire somebody if you're just going to micromanage the way that they should run their business? It should be a collaborative effort. And with like the team that we're building now, it's extremely collaborative. We're utilizing the feedback from our mortgage professionals that are actually boots on the ground to take and improve our systems, improve our processes. So we're looking at folks that can manage and run their own business, that they're self-sustained and actually passionate about what they do. We don't want somebody that, just does this as either a part-time hobby or somebody that, does it just for the money. We want people that are truly passionate about client service. And we want to become the #1 servicer in the nation, right? So if you look at any NPS scores, we plan on leading the top of that. And the only way to do that is get the right people in the right positions that we can trust to provide that experience without all the micromanagement that you might get at some other places, which I think is just so good from a banker perspective and even a leadership perspective, right? Of feeling that I have control of how I run or manage the team without being under a microscope all the time. And it just allows for more creativity, and creativity breeds production, at least in my mind.
Yeah, that's right on. I mean, I think that's really exciting. Dustin, you mentioned earlier your interest in AI and you're using tools, technology tools. I'm curious if you have a view. One of the things I've been playing with lately is this idea that if you don't do anything to Chat GPT otherwise, meaning I'll call it just like out of the box, ChatGPT is going to drive us all to kind of like a generic language. It's going to kind of always give you the same answer relative to generic language. Much the same way when you talk to PR people, they'll often say you have to write at a 4th grade level because you want it to be easily understood, quickly, easily, short sentences. People don't have a lot of time. And I respect that. And I've really worked on my communication skills as a result. But authenticity and creativity, the way you just described it, is the key. That's the whole currency. So how do you think about trying to get everybody on the same page, but at the same time understanding that we're going to put this eye in the sky with AI that listens to everything and grades you and quality and improving and coaching, but we don't want to lose our personalities. We don't want to lose our authenticity. Have you started to grapple with that? Do you have a view on it? What's your take on how that's going to go?
Yeah, so I think authenticity by far is the most important thing in this business. Clients can tell when you're not being authentic, I think right off the bat. So we are grappling with our AI platform. And what we're doing is we're analyzing. So right now, I'll give you an example. We've analyzed 41,000 calls, right? And it's not just putting together like, the client gave this objection, here should be your response. It's actually going into more of a nurturing standpoint, like, how can we communicate with our clients where it is authentic, where we are providing high levels of communication that's not just like this generic response. So
empathy.
Yeah, exactly. So our AI system has AI or empathy really built into that. That's one of our main focuses, is not losing that human element. And what's really cool with AI is if you use it correctly, you can have it take your words and your sentiment and just make it a little bit more professional and more easily digestible for the average consumer. And I think that's what's amazing, because before, not everybody's an expert at language, right? So with AI, it kind of bridges that gap, and it could take somebody that isn't the best at communication and actually improve their communication while adding authenticity and empathy to it. So there's a lot of things that we can do. And then even from a data-driven standpoint, looking at APIs from places like Zillow or other websites, using actual data science to filter in ways to be more authentic with clients. So even just like, in my opinion, meeting clients where they want to be, I think is the biggest way to show that authenticity, because if you're available for a client on a Saturday or a Sunday or late at nights where most mortgage professionals aren't, it just doesn't feel as personalized of an experience. But we can find ways to route those clients to us even outside of the office, to ensure that we're always there. And that's just going to separate us from most folks, because I think most people are still in that like 9 to 5 mentality, and you really lose that after hour relationship building.
Dustin, are you playing with outbound AI, like digital engagement
Yes,
as
everything.
opposed, and then just do live transfers to the loan officers that are online?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, right on. Well, thanks for joining us, Dustin. This has been great. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's going. Obviously, I'm excited that the Detroit area continues to be a growing mortgage city. And this is just another indication of that. So great stuff.
I would love to come back on in 3 or 6 months just to give some updates. I think the rate at which we're trying to move is very, very quick. And I think it's going to be an eye-opening experience for everyone in the industry, what we're capable of doing over these next 3 to 6 months with the right people and at the right place. So yeah, I would love to be back on. This was phenomenal. So I can't thank you guys enough for having me here.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dustin.
Great talking to you.
Yeah,
keep up the great work. We'll definitely have you back.
About the growth and hiring and opportunities that are going to come of it too. So don't hesitate to reach out to Dustin, anyone listening.
That's right.
Yes, and we are hiring.
Great.
So if you think you're a good fit for New Res, hit me up on LinkedIn, Dustin Ashley. I go by Dash, so people call me Dash. That's my nickname. But yeah, hit me up, DM me. I would love to have a conversation and see if this would fit for both of us.
Cool. All right.
Thanks.
Well, appreciate you coming on, your partnership, and I get to see two of you next week when I go to Michigan. So
yeah, see you soon. All right,
Thanks,
Dash.
guys.
Take care, everybody.
All right, bye.